Part 71. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 701. Chapter 701, Tooth for Tooth. Xianxia explained, what the other party took away was only my mother's good luck, and the rest was all rough luck. That's why my mother was so twists and turns, everything was not going well. Fortunately, my mother met my father, and my father's luck was also the same. The fortunes between husband and wife are extremely prosperous and can complement each other, but there is a time limit. This is also the reason why my mother and I have been getting worse and worse in the past 6 years. But if it were not for the support of my father's fortune, my mother would have been in bad health. He's gone a long time ago. Fortunately, our family got together today, and my luck can help my mother for a while. However, this is only temporary. If I don't get my mother's lost luck back, everything will still go wrong for my mother in the future. Even life-threatening. Xianxia's words are not exaggerated at all. This is the fact. She cannot hide it because she is worried that her mother will not be able to bear it. Moreover, her mother is also a heavenly master. There are some things that she does not say, but her mother also knows. Xuanhuan looked at her husband and children apologetically. It was all because of her that not only her husband was implicated, but her children were also implicated. Xianxia knew his wife very well and knew what she was thinking. He held her hand and said, "I have never regretted meeting you. Don't think too much. We have all come through such a difficult road. Now that we know the reason, we can find the reason. The remedy is good. It won't be more difficult than before." Xianxia was very happy at this moment because his daughter was powerful enough, otherwise, their family would be in a lot of misery. Xuanhuan choked and said, "Not all my good luck has been taken away. At least the good luck that allowed me to meet you is still left." Sisters and sisters Xianxia and Xuanhuan looked at each other. Xuanhuan was a little strange. Why did she feel full even before she had eaten? Xianxia was speechless. It was just a matter of her parents having such a good relationship. It was really unbearable to let her go astray at any time. "Mom, please tell me about the other party's situation. And can't wait any longer. If the other party cuts off contact, it will be difficult to find him." Xianxia interrupted her father and mother's love and continued reading. She was full too. Xuanhuan came back to his senses. "His name is Long Mocking. He is a branch of the Long family like me. We are of the same generation, and he is 10 years older than me. He awakened his spiritual roots at the age of 3, and at the age of 5 he surpassed the cultivation level of a 10-year-old child. Since then, he has become the only genius in the Long family. Almost all the family resources can be used by him. The children of the family follow him as an example. Whenever he comes to practice, the elders in the family will use him to educate their children. After I awakened my spiritual roots at the age of 3, and my cultivation level at the age of 5 also surpassed that of a 10-year-old child, our family almost trained both of us equally." Xianxia listened carefully to what her mother said about Long Mocking's deeds. After hearing what her mother said, Xianxia had to admit that Long Mocking was indeed a genius. He awakened his spiritual roots at the age of 3, and became outstanding in his cultivation at the age of 5. His mother was born when he was 10 years old. At the age of 15, after his mother became another genius of the Long family, he chose to go out to practice. The people who went out from the Long family were all brought out by Xuanhuan, including his mother's first time out. But when his mother was 14 years old, the head of the Long family and the elders discussed letting Xuanhuan succeed the young master and become the next head of the Long family. However, Xuanhuan rejected him and recommended his mother to be the young master. At that time, all the family heads and elders disagreed, just because Xuanhuan had already become a heavenly master. Although Long Mocking was already 24 years old at the time, her mother had not yet become a heavenly master. It was normal for the family heads and elders to favor long mocking. In addition, long mocking is a man, and the family head and elders tend to have a talented man become the next family head. However, I don't know what long mocking told the head of the family and the elders, but later they all agreed to let his mother be the head of the family. My mother was actually very reluctant to be the head of the family. She liked the free world outside, but she couldn't shirk it and couldn't change the decision of the head of the family and the elders, so she became the young head of the Long family. At that time, a ceremony was held for her. Although every young master has it, hers was very special. Thinking about it now, her luck was taken away by long mocking at that time. The head of the family and the elders all knew about it and were accomplices. Later, when Ms. Chen was pregnant with her, long mocking made a special trip to visit her and brought her a lot of spiritual energy ingredients suitable for pregnant women. When she was born, her mother had already broken up with the Long family. No one from the Long family went to see her, but Long mocking went there again and stayed there for 3 days as a good brother, until she saw her after Ruan Xianglue was born. He glanced at her before leaving. Yan Xianglue knew that Long mocking should have done something to her when her mother was pregnant with her, and he should have wanted to do it again after she was born, but her mother separated her soul one by one in order to save her, and the plan failed, so he targeted his younger brother again. That's why it happened that his younger brother was smuggled away by him. Yan Xianglue was almost certain that Long mocking was the one who took away her mother's luck and stole her brother's luck. In this case, she would be blamed for being ruthless. All the hardships in his family came from his greed. Now that he knows the truth, it is not Yan Xianglue's character not to take revenge. According to what mother said, this Long Moran should be the one who took away my mother's luck and stole Anan's luck. His own luck is very good, but he still has to cultivate his luck in this way. This shows that there should be some flaws in his luck, or that what is the purpose. This purpose requires his luck to be extraordinary. No matter what, it is not a reason for him to bully our family. Mom, you and Anan prepare. I will take action tonight. He took you and Anan. No matter how much luck he had, he returned it intact. As for the price he had to bear, I hope he will not regret his decision back then. When Yan Xianglue said these words, the harshness in her tone was not concealed at all. She wants to fight tooth for tooth. It was the first time that Yan Xianxia and Long Moran saw such a daughter. They realized that their once delicate and soft daughter had really grown into a towering tree that could protect them. Long Moran and Xianxia looked at each other. Luoluo, what do you need me to do? Yan Xianglue shook her head. Have a good rest and consolidate your newly promoted cultivation. We will start at midnight. I will cook now. Our family has always had to eat for the reunion dinner that has lasted 6 years. Yu Xianxia and Long Moran looked at each other. Their daughter was very calm. At this time, she could still think about having a reunion dinner. If they heard it right, the daughter said that she wanted to cook the food herself. They haven't eaten the food cooked by her daughter yet. No matter whether it tastes good or not, he feels very happy. Wan Enluo became even more excited and cheered. I'm going to eat the food cooked by my sister. It's great. I'm so happy. Yan Xianglue looked at her happy brother and rubbed his head. I feel happy now. Anan will feel even happier later. Wan Enluo blinks her big eyes. Will she be happier? End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 702. Chapter 702. No one can match it. Yan Xianglue didn't answer his brother's questions, so he should just let him be curious for a while longer. The meals she cooks are not only happy, but also surprising. The family of 4 got up and left, heading towards the bedroom arranged by Yan Xianglue and Ji Zhizhong in front. Yan Xianglue was going to cook, so she asked her father to help Zhizhong study the formation first. She accompanied her mother to choose a palace for them to live in. Now it seems that they will not leave here within a few days. They will live here. It is inevitable. My younger brother should live in the same palace with his parents when he is still young. Yu Chenjai came to the palace and saw Ji Kong sitting at the table. On the table was a map of the Zhuoyuan continent, and a map of the Ji family's residence. This map was the Zhuoyuan emperor during the heyday of the Ji family. The layout of the city. Although Ji Zhong did not want to rebuild the Zhuoyuan dynasty, the number of Black Feather Guard families was there. If he wanted them all to come and settle down, the entire outer city would be full. Although this place will not be the imperial city in the future, it will be larger than the imperial city. Other families and forces will not have a place to live in the inner and outer cities here. If they want to live, they can only open up residences outside the outer city. That is the city outside the city. Ji Zhong has such confidence that this place is more prosperous than before when the Ji family controlled Zhuoyuan continent. Hence, the city defense formation in the outer city is very important. Those who want to protect the outer city must at least set up a city defense formation that even gods cannot break into. It is not difficult for Ji Zhong to set up a formation of this level, but what kind of formation to set up is a difficult problem. When Chenjai walked in, Ji Zhong noticed it immediately, stood up immediately, and said naturally, "My father-in-law came just in time. I have an idea and I need some advice from my father-in-law." Yu Chenjai knew that Ji Zhong was being modest. With his temperament, if he could express his opinions, it was almost settled. Yu Chenjai was quite accomplished in formations and was curious about his thoughts. He walked over and said, "Tell me what you think." The two of them sat down at the table and began to study the formation. After Xianxia took her mother to choose the palace where they lived, she helped her mother clean up the palace briefly, and then asked her mother to consolidate her cultivation and summon clouds to guard her mother. While she took her younger brother, he left the palace and walked to the bedroom. Wan Anluo looked at her sister's spiritual pet Yun Tuan curiously, and Xianxia said, "After your cultivation problem is solved, you will have time to spend time with Yun Tuan in the future." Wan Anluo nodded, looked at the hand of her sister who was holding her hand, and then looked up at her sister's stunning face, her eyes filled with admiration. Sister is so powerful. It seems that all difficulties are easily solved in her hands. He must study hard and practice well, otherwise he will not be as powerful as her sister when he grows up. How can he protect her? He can't disgrace his sister. If people say that the younger brother of the miracle doctor Yuan Xiongluo is bad, then he will be disgraced. When they arrived outside the palace, Xiongluo asked Anluo, "Are you going to cook with your sister, or are you going to the palace to watch Dad and the others study the formations?" Wan Anluo thought for a while and said, "I don't know how to cook, so I can't help my sister if I go there. I'll go see my father and brother-in-law study the formation. Is so high. My own formation is taught by my father. I am afraid that my brother's array talent is not low, and it is normal for interested in the formation. Moreover, such a formation is not common, and such an opportunity is even rarer. Let him witness the formation of a city defense formation with his own eyes, which is the best lesson for him." "Okay, go ahead and tell my sister later." Yan Xiongluo smiled and rubbed his head. This is a trick her father often used on her back then. When he tells her about it later, his brother will definitely listen carefully. Sure enough, when Ruan Anluo heard that her sister asked him to teach her about the formation, her eyes suddenly lit up. She felt that she was finally useful, and she immediately responded, "Okay." As soon as he finished speaking, he ran towards the palace. Yan Xiongluo looked at her younger brother's back and smiled. After all, he was still a child. His younger brother was 6 years old, and his little apprentice Jihao was 9 years old. Although there was a 3-year age difference, his younger brother's IQ was not low, and his experience was very complicated, so he could play with it. Go together. In this way, both of them have an extra companion. Yan Xianglao used her mind to move out the kitchen that her master Deng Chang's had built for her in the Xuanhuan sect on the Tianqian continent, and then went in to cook. Jizimo and Chang Feng twitched their mouths when they saw that she actually carried such a large kitchen with her. How big a gift ring this is, how luxurious it is. Especially Chang Feng, he had accompanied Zhizhou Hong to the Xuanhuan sect for treatment and had seen this kitchen with his own eyes. He never expected to see this kitchen again one day in the higher continent. How do they know that Yan Xianglao has a small world like Pangu space, which is not comparable to the space of the holding ring? Even Chang Feng didn't know she had a portable space, and Jizimo didn't know either. Jizimo hasn't seen the smell of fireworks in more than 30,000 years. Zhizhou Hong and the others have no need of him now, so they drift to the kitchen door to watch Yu Xianglao cooking. This girl is pretty good. No wonder Zhizhou Hong can make her heart fall in love with her. She is so talented, has such strong medical skills, can refine alchemy to a level, and is also a Xuanhuan master. Such a woman should be able to do it all the time. She uses it for practice, but she can actually cook. At this time, Jizimo didn't know that Yan Xianglao was also very strong in formation attainments. Seeing Yan Xianglao busy in the kitchen in an orderly manner, Jizimo felt like he was in a dream. Not to mention becoming a soul body, he had never entered the kitchen when he was alive before. He was the imperial kitchen of Xuanhuan Palace. Never been there either. I turned around and looked at the former emperor's palace, and then at the simple kitchen placed under the steps of the palace. Although it was in an incompatible style, why did it look so harmonious at this time? If anyone had dared to put a kitchen here before, it would still be such a simple kitchen. Watching the heat spread, Jizimo suddenly wanted desperately to regain his body, smell the smoke and taste the food of this world. He wanted to know more about Yan Xianglao's cooking skills. He waved to Chang Feng, who looked inside the palace door and walked over. "What's the matter with Ancestor Zimo?" Chang Feng asked seriously. "How is this girl's cooking skills?" Jizimo asked, pointing to Yu Xianglao who was busy in the kitchen. Chang Feng glanced at Yan Xianglao's busy back and said without hesitation, "No one can match her." Jizimo was stunned. He didn't expect Chang Feng to use such 4 words to describe Yan Xianglao's cooking skills. Jizimo didn't doubt Chang Feng's words. He was just curious about how Yan Xianglao did it. After learning so many powerful skills, he could still master cooking so well? No one can match it. To what extent? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 703. Chapter 703 Delicious Food in the World. In other words, the former royal chef was not as good at cooking as hers. Could she still be able to cook this meal? Jizimo looked at it, and although what Yan Xianglao brought out were all spiritual energy ingredients, they were also spiritual energy ingredients with particularly strong spiritual energy. But no matter how strong your cooking skills are, it is impossible for you not to waste any spiritual energy. Even the imperial chef of the Nine Yuan dynasty at that time was the highest-ranking spiritual chef in the entire continent, and he couldn't do it without wasting any spiritual energy. How well can Yan Xianglao cook so well that Chang Feng can describe her cooking skills like this? At this moment, he really wanted to have a sense of smell and smell how tempting the aroma of this food was. "She often cooks for you?" Jizimo asked again. Chang Feng's mouth twitched. Why would the mistress often cook for them? Even if the mistress was willing, the master would not be willing, and they did not dare to have that idea. "The mistress often cooks for the master, and we are lucky enough to eat it," Chang Feng said matter-of-factly. Jizimo smiled and said, "This girl is really a treasure." Chang Feng also agreed with Jizimo's words. Their mistress was indeed a treasure that no one could match. He has never seen such an almighty woman, let alone seen or heard of such an almighty woman. There is no record of such a woman in the historical records of Tianqian continent or the current high continent. The conversation between the two did not avoid the fragrant fragrance, so the fragrance that was busy cooking and the corners of the mouth was pumped. The two praised her. She didn't even know that she was so good that no one had ever done it before or since. She turned to Changfeng and said, "Tell Zhekong that the meal is ready. I have left some food for you and Xixian." "Yes," Changfeng responded immediately, his eyes bright. Gizmo looked at Changfeng's reaction and became even more curious about how delicious the food made by Yan Xiangluo was, so that Changfeng, who was serious about words and ice cubes, could show such an expression. After Changfeng left, Gizmo floated to Yan Xiangluo's side, looked at the dishes she put into the aura-preserving food box one by one, and asked, "Luo Yedu, can you make me feel the taste?" Yan Xiangluo glanced at him and said, "Yes, but I can't make you eat." "Are you sure you want to feel the taste of these meals?" Gizmo was confused when he heard what Yan Xiangluo said and shook his head. "Forget it. Judging from Changfeng's behavior, this food is not generally delicious. If you can smell it but can't eat it, it will be more painful. It's better not to smell it and don't make yourself suffer." Yan Xiangluo shrugged and agreed with Gizmo's decision. She knew her own cooking skills, and so far no one could resist the temptation of the meals she cooked. Her ancestor Mu Changling couldn't hold it back, but she didn't believe Gizmo could hold it back. If he smelled it and rubbed her to taste it, then she really had no choice. Since he has no body, where will he eat? The wind goes away as quickly as it comes back. "Mother, I'm coming." Changfeng naturally picked up the food boxes that Yan Xiangluo had prepared. Yan Xiangluo pointed at the two food boxes and said, "Those two belong to you and Xixian." "Thank you, Mistress," Changfeng said immediately. Gizmo raised his eyebrows. "Is this food so delicious that it makes Bingbao Changfeng's mouth taste sweet?" In the palace, the table had been cleared. When Changfeng came in to tell her that the food was ready, Yuan Anluo ran all the way to call her mother. So, as soon as the food was set, Long Moran and concubine Anluo came over to take a look. Yan Xiangluo said to Changfeng, "You should go and eat too." Changfeng bowed and went out, and immediately used the sound transmission stone to contact Xixian, telling him that his mistress had cooked and asked him to come back quickly to eat. As soon as Xixian, who was busy, heard about the food cooked by Yan Xiangluo, he immediately assigned the work in hand to Black Feather Guard and went back to the palace in a hurry. The Black Feather Guards were very puzzled as they watched, what happened to Mr. Mu. At this time, in the palace, Wan Anluo's big eyes were wide open. If she hadn't been brought up well since she was a child, her saliva would have flowed out. "Why does it smell so good?" Yan Xiangluo put the food on the table and said to her parents with a smile, "Mom and Dad, you try it first and see which dish you like. Then I will cook what you like." Ji Zhong was speechless. The food prepared by Luoluo was not picky at all. Every dish was delicious. Wan Anluo also looked at her parents, which meant that you should hurry up and eat. "Only after you eat can I eat." Ji Zhong looked at his brother-in-law and was very greedy, but he still couldn't bear to move his chopsticks. He thought to himself, "My father-in-law did teach his children very well. Luo is like this, and so is my brother-in-law Anan. Dad, let's try it first." Yan Chenjai picked up the chopsticks. Although he said he would try it first, the first chopstick still picked up his wife's favorite dish and put it in her bowl. Ji Zhekong's phoenix eyes raised slightly. "Are you looking at this for yourself?" After taking a bite, Yan Chenjai and Long Moran looked at each other in shock. Their daughter's cooking skills were so good. This dish was the most delicious dish they had ever eaten in their lives. "It's delicious, Luoluo's cooking skills are great," Yuan Chenjai said with a smile. Yan Xiangluo's almond-shaped eyes smiled like a pair of crescent moons, and she said to Jizhong and Anan, "Eat them all." Yuan Onluo immediately picked up the chopsticks, took a piece of food and put it into his mouth. Suddenly his big eyes, which were exactly the same as those of Yan Xiongluo, also curved into a pair of crescents. Jizhong looked at the two siblings. They looked so much alike that he knew they were siblings without even asking. Did Luoluo be like Anan when he was a child? At this time, he felt a little regretful. Luoluo was obviously his fiancée at the age of 10, so why didn't he go and see her? Otherwise, would he at least know how cute Luoluo was at 10 years old? Gizmo stood at the door of the palace and watched the 5 people eating. Originally, he was thinking that if there were only 5 people eating, how could Luoyeta cook a large table of dishes and be able to finish it? But when he saw that no one spoke except for a few words at the beginning, and almost all the dishes on the table were eaten in a flurry, he was extremely shocked. It seems that this meal is indeed not ordinary delicious. Except for Jizhong and Yuan Xiongluo, who also controlled their appetite, Yuan Chenjai, his wife, and Anan were almost full. Yan Xiongluo had expected it a long time ago, so although she cooked a lot of meals, they were all easy to digest ingredients. However, even so, she still gave an azayashi pill to keep the child's spleen and stomach in good condition. The child was very embarrassed to let me settle down. He seemed to be a little rude. This is the case for everyone who eats your sister's cooking for the first time. Anan, don't be embarrassed, Jizhong comforted his brother-in-law. Brother-in-law too? Wan Onluo asked immediately. Jizhong thought that the first time he ate Luoluo's food was at the Xianyuan section. At that time, she was not so kind to him. She only had a normal amount and would definitely not be able to eat enough. But he would not say this to his brother-in-law, lest his brother-in-law look down on him. He naturally changed the subject and asked, "What do you think of the formation you just studied?" End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 704. Chapter 704. It's really hard to be a good person. But the kid Wan Onluo was not easy to fool. He rolled his eyes at Jizhong and said, "Don't change the subject. It's obvious that you didn't finish the meal your sister cooked for the first time. The implication is that my sister didn't want to see you at that time, so she didn't cook so many dishes for you. She was still kind to me and my parents." Jizhong was speechless. Why are everyone so smart? He touched his nose and said, "I was seriously injured at that time and couldn't eat too much." He felt a little guilty when explaining. He glanced at Yu Xiongluo and sighed secretly when he saw that she was suppressing a smile. Why is this explanation so forced? Wan Onluo looked at Jizhong with a serious expression, wanting to see if he was lying. Yan Xiongluo saw the look in Jizhong's eyes, and naturally she couldn't let him lose face in front of her younger brother, so she quickly rescued him. Zhekong's fetal poison was attacking at that time, so he couldn't eat too much. Seeing that her sister had said this, Wan Onluo gave up and said, "Okay, I believe you." Zhekong's lips twitched. Everyone in this family is a talented person, and he is really not a good son-in-law. Yan Xiongluo quickly rescued him. "Dad, Zhekong, how is the formation you are studying?" Both Jizhong and Yu Chenjai understood what she meant. Jizhong glanced at his father-in-law and said, "The research is almost done. My father-in-law found some loopholes and we have improved them. Let's wait and see what happens. If the 3 of us I think it's okay, I'll start setting up the formation tomorrow." Yan Xiongluo nodded, turned to her younger brother and said, "Anan, tell me sister how the formation is arranged. What do you think of this formation?" Wan Onluo thought that his sister had forgotten to ask him to tell him about the formation. Now that his sister took the initiative to mention it, Wan Onluo was very excited. Sister still values him very much and trusts him. He can't let her down. He just listened carefully. Xuanhuan started to explain his understanding of the city defense formation with a smile on his face. When he talked about the wonderful points, he did not forget to praise Xuanhuan. His idea was wonderful. He had never thought that the formation could be like this. He also said that it was the first time he knew it. My father's formation skills are so strong. Xianxia was very happy that her brother could praise Xuanhuan in such an objective, unbiased and unprejudiced way. This shows that the younger brother has a strong and broad mind, which is very important for his future cultivation. The world will be as big as the mind is. When it comes to cultivation, it means that the future of cultivation will be as big as the state of mind. How far you can go in cultivation depends on how high your state of mind is. The broader your state of mind, the easier it is to ascend to a higher state, and the smaller the obstacles you will encounter when making breakthroughs. Xianxia was very happy. Her brother had such a broad mind. After solving the problem of his luck being stolen, she could imagine how much his brother's cultivation speed would increase. A real little genius. Xuanhuan was also shocked by his brother-in-law's formation attainments. After all, his brother-in-law was only 6 years old and he was still traveling around with his father-in-law and mother-in-law for medical treatment. He and his father-in-law were studying, while Anan watched and listened quietly. He thought it would be good if his brother-in-law could understand part of it, but he didn't expect that he could understand everything. At such a young age, despite such a bumpy life experience, he can still learn formations so well, which shows how talented he is in formations. Xuanhuan was a little curious about how strong the blood inheritance of his father-in-law and mother-in-law was. They had a daughter and a son, and they were all such geniuses. Although Xianxia knew that his son's talent for formations was very strong, his son's reaction today also surprised him. It was his first time encountering such a high-level formation, and yet he could understand it so thoroughly. Looking at the way he was talking to his sister, he instantly understood that this was his daughter using the same tricks she had used on her daughter on his younger brother. For her daughter to be so devoted to her son, Xianxia was finally relieved that their siblings would get along with each other. Before, I was always worried that my daughter never knew about the existence of her younger brother. Suddenly such an older brother appeared, and I was worried that my daughter would feel uncomfortable. I didn't expect my daughter to accept his brother so easily. It can be seen from her actions that she really likes her brother. Xianxia didn't know at all that the credit for this was due to his son-in-law Xuanhuan. If Xuanhuan hadn't enlightened Xianxia, she would not have accepted this younger brother so easily, and would have separated from her parents. Xianxia listened carefully to her brother's explanation of the formation. Through his explanation, a city-protecting formation was formed in her mind. The more she listened, the more shocked she became. Not only was she shocked by her brother's talent in formations, but she was also shocked by Xuanhuan's intelligence. Xuanhuan is indeed an extremely smart person. He can always break the constraints and derive stronger strength from the skills he has learned. Should we add mysterious patterns to the formation? Xianxia put forward her idea. Her idea is very simple. The G family is the Xuanhuan family in the hearts of high-level mainlanders. Although they all have erased memories now, that is a very distant thing after all. What makes them deeply rooted is the G family's Xuanhuan family ability. Including mysterious patterns in the city defense formation can serve as a warning, reminding those who want to break the formation what the G family is best at. And with Xuanhuan's current Xuanhuan strength, it should be stronger than using the formation. Xuanhuan nodded and said, I am also planning to add some mysterious patterns to the city defense formation, but I haven't decided yet which type of mysterious patterns to use. Which one do you think is more suitable? Xianxia's eyes moved and she realized that the one Xuanhuan used was more suitable, not better. That meant that his purpose of adding Xuanhuan was purely to protect the city. The long eyelashes flickered twice, use both defense and attack, the outermost layer is used for defense, and the innermost layer is used for attack. If someone can break through the outer defense and enter the formation, and can break through the formation, then the innermost attacking Xuanhuan will kill him. Zhizhong smiled, okay, let's do it like this. Since Zhizhong decided to use Xuanhuan, he naturally had an idea in his mind, which coincided with Luoluo's idea. The defensive mysterious pattern is used on the outermost surface to warn those who want to break through the formation. The protective formation is a warning and a last resort for him. If he still insists on entering, then the offensive mysterious pattern inside will not be polite and will directly kill him. Killed him. Hence, the innermost attack pattern is the final trump card. Of course, you also need to be lucky enough to break through to the last layer of defense. After listening to my brother's explanation, I was told that the outer layer of defensive mysterious patterns is not something everyone is destined to break through. Even this formation is not destined to be broken through. You can imagine what kind of strength the person who attacks Xuanhuan will be. Why not kill him and keep him alive? Xianxia thought about how there were so many people outside. How could Zhizhong go out to set up the formation? End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 705. Chapter 705 Listen to your sister. Xianxia thought about it and asked, there are too many people outside. How can we go out to set up the formation tomorrow? Zhizhong said, those people are between the outer city and the inner city. Tomorrow I will go out and set up the formation directly at the edge of the outer layer. After the formation is deployed and activated, everyone inside will be automatically cleared out. Xianxiangluo's eyes lit up. How do you clear people out automatically? Reject Xuanhuan. Zhizhong did not hide anything. This mysterious pattern is one of the last 10 mysterious patterns in Jiyin. Its main function is to clean up things and objects that do not want to exist. It is not a murderer, but it is just like cleaning. It is just cleaning. Get out. The reason why it is named with exclusion instead of cleaning is because cleaning uses the exclusion method. Xinjian blinked. In this way, it is indeed suitable for cleaning those people out. I'll go with you tomorrow. Xianxiangluo was very interested in the last 10 mysterious patterns in Jiyinzong. It would be nice to see with her own eyes how she would miss such an opportunity. Zhizhong smiled, there is also father-in-law, the three of us will go together. It would take him a lot of time to set up such a large formation, but it would be easy for 3 people to do it together, and they could finish it in one day. There's still me, Xuanhuan said quickly. Without waiting for Xianxia to reject him, Xuanhuan immediately said again, I listen to my sister. Xianxia suddenly had the urge to beat his son again, and glanced at him, you can live with your sister from now on. Xuanhuan immediately said, that won't work, our family cannot lack anyone. He just wanted to go and have a look. As for his father, why should he be so competitive with him? If his sister said she wouldn't let him go, he would definitely not go along and cause trouble. Xianxia ignored him and looked at his daughter. Xianxiangluo said, it will be dangerous to go out. We feel more at ease if Anan and mother stay in the palace. Besides, my sister has solved the cultivation problem for you tonight. I guess you won't have time to go out tomorrow. The stolen luck is recovered, and the suppressed luck of the younger brother and mother will explode in an instant. There will be a breakthrough process, and there will be no time to get out. Especially my mother, she has already achieved a breakthrough today, and her cultivation level and heavenly master level have improved a lot. If she improves again, if she does not consolidate her cultivation level well, her cultivation level will be very unstable, which will not be good for her future breakthroughs and promotions. Xuanhuan trusted her sister's words without any doubt. Okay, I will listen to my sister. Xianxia glanced at his son, who behaved like a cat in front of his sister, and looked away in disgust. Xianxiangluo said to her mother, Mom, continue to consolidate your cultivation. Tonight, we will regain the luck path together. Long Moran nodded, okay. Xianxia took his son and his wife back to the palace where they lived. Xuanhuan struggled for a few times, but when he saw his sister smiling and looking at him with no intention of saving him, he was immediately discouraged and was carried away by his father obediently. "Your sister has to prepare for the evening, why are you staying here?" Xianxia asked his son as he walked. "I don't make trouble." "Not causing trouble will also distract your sister." Xianxia was speechless. "Aren't you very smart? Why are you so stupid now? Xuanhuan obviously has something to say to your sister. If you don't leave, what will others say?" Although Xianxia didn't want his daughter to be snatched away by a wolf so early, the fact was that his daughter had already been snatched away by a wolf. They have not been with her for these 6 years, and her daughter has grown up to the point where she can handle things that neither of them can solve alone. Xianxia did not intend to interfere in the matter between his daughter and Xianxia. "Let's not talk about whether we can interfere. Who else is worthy of my daughter besides Xianxia? The most important thing is that as a man, he knows very well that Xianxia's feelings for his daughter are no worse than his own feelings for his wife. They also went through an engagement and ended their engagement, and it was not easy to come to the higher continent together. Under such circumstances, they could still maintain their original intentions towards each other. This kind of relationship is already rare in the world. Don't be too picky." After the problems of his wife and son are solved, he can concentrate on practicing and improving his cultivation. As long as he is strong enough, he can support his daughter. Who dares to bully the daughter of a strong man? Xianxia understood very well. There is one more thing he did not say. The fate of his daughter and son-in-law is obviously not that of ordinary people. He would not believe it if they said there was no interference from heaven along the way. They may all be shouldering some mission. If you don't become stronger, how can you help your daughter when the time comes? Watching her parents and younger brother leave, Xianxia looked at Xianxia and asked, "How long does it take to set up the formation?" Xianxia said, "The 3 of us can complete it in 1 day together." Xianxia nodded, "What are your plans next?" Xianxia said, "It will take about a month to go to the G family's training ground. Will Luoluo go in with me?" Xianxia was not surprised that the G family had a place of origin, but she did not want to go in for the time being. After all, her palace experience had not been completed yet. "I won't go in. I will go to the palace to practice first. When you come out to see if the level of experience inside is suitable for my current cultivation level, I will then decide whether to go in," Xianxia said very rationally. "Luoluo wants to go into the palace to practice." Xianxia raised his eyebrows. "Well, I have a feeling that there are only 9 levels of experience for you in the palace, but it seems to be more than that for me, the master." When Xianxia said this, he added, "By the way, there are 2 floors in the palace that you can't go to. The first floor is for weapons, and the first floor is for various cultivation techniques. The black feather guards need to be better armed. Yutang, they also need to be stronger. You can send people you trust, and I will send them in to choose the weapons and techniques that suit them." Xianxia's eyes lit up. He really needed these 2 things to arm the black feather guards and Yutang's hidden guards. Especially Yutang and Changfeng, who have followed him since childhood. He trusts them more. Naturally, the stronger their cultivation and strength, the better. "Okay, after the city defense formation is completed, let Yutang and the others go in and choose. Now we can let Changfeng and Xixian go in and choose. As for the black feather guards, we will wait." Xianxia immediately arranged the candidates. Xianxia also knew that although the black feather guards were all people who swore allegiance to the Ji family who owned Tianyuan for generations, but more than 30,000 years had passed, who knew how loyal they were. They passed the first test, but Xianxia knew that there would be a second and third test. If Xianxia did not believe that they were truly loyal, he would not give these benefits to black feather guard. "Okay," Xianxia responded and looked outside. Changfeng and Xixian had already finished their meal and came over. The two walked into the palace gate and saw Jizhong and Yan Xiangluo looking at them. The two looked at each other, and Xian asked in confusion, "Master, what happened?" End of this chapter. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 706. Chapter 706 Want to Marry Me. Both of them were thinking that nothing could happen in this moment, but there was something wrong with the way their master and mistress looked at them. Yan Xiangluo smiled and said, "Good thing." They both breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Xian's tone suddenly became much more relaxed. "Mother, what's so good?" Changfeng also watched Yan Xiang fall. "I'll send you to a place where you can choose weapons and techniques. You can choose whatever suits you best," Yan Xiangluo said to the two of them. Changfeng glanced at the long sword he was holding. This long sword was given to him by his master. In fact, it no longer matched his strength, but he was not willing to give up. After all, he will never forget the kindness his master showed him. But the opponents that the master will encounter in the future will inevitably become stronger and stronger. As the only personal guard, he needs to be stronger. A suitable weapon is indeed an urgent need for him. If he can really find a weapon that is more suitable for him, he should put away the weapon given to him by his master and keep it as a memory. "That's great, thank you, Master and Mistress," Xian said cheerfully. He knew very well that if Yan Xiangluo didn't take action easily, it must not be an ordinary skill or weapon. Just like the place where they were sent for training before, it was the magic weapon of Yan Xiangluo. Although Changfeng was very excited, he still calmly saluted, "Thank you, Master and Mistress." The two have different personalities, and their tone and way of speaking are different. "Close your eyes, don't resist, I'll send you in," Yu Xiangluo said. The two men immediately closed their eyes, and with the thought, Yan Xiangluo sent the two of them to the weapon selection level in the palace. Although Xian and Changfeng entered at the same time, they could not see each other. Ruan Xiangluo saw Xian and called Changfeng, and Changfeng also called Xian, but neither responded to the other. And also knew that they were isolated after entering. Those weapons were all suspended. Xian and Changfeng couldn't see each other, and they stopped worrying. They focused on looking at the suspended weapons, but they didn't know how to choose. Yan Xiangluo's consciousness immediately showed how to choose weapons, and they had to use their mental power to perceive them. She immediately said to the two of them, "You release your mental power to perceive, and the weapon that suits you will come to you. If there are more than one, just choose the one that suits you best." Xian and Changfeng inside were both shocked. What kind of place was this? How could the voice of the mistress come in? It seems that the mistress can see every move they make, which means that this place where you can choose weapons and exercises is also the mistress's magic weapon. At this time, they also understood that Yan Xiangluo had a secret that they didn't know, and it was stronger than what they knew. But the secret master obviously knew it. At this time, they all felt deeply in their hearts that fate was truly destined. Years ago, when Emperor Tianshun granted marriage to their master, they were all extremely dissatisfied. Although his master was suffering from cold poison, his talent was unparalleled, so how could he marry him? A good-for-nothing wife. Now it seems that she is the perfect wife specially prepared by God for the master. This was just the thought of the two of them for a moment. Now is not the time to sigh, so they should choose weapons quickly. The two men immediately released their mental power to sense the weapons. Suddenly, the suspended weapons started to move, and the ones that were not suitable for them moved back. The ones that were suitable for them came to them and floated in front of their eyes. It's just that there are several weapons suspended in front of each person, which shows that these weapons are suitable for them, but it is impossible to have multiple weapons. Even if the mistress allows them, they do not have the strength to practice two weapons. Changfeng and Xian are both rational and thinking about how to choose the weapon that suits them best. At this time, Zhizhong said to Yan Xiangluo, Luoluo, I can now carve the mysterious pattern of eliminating demons. When I come out of the place of origin, I will first go to your master to remove the demonic energy from my body. Zhizhong thought of the demonic energy in Deng Chang's body. Luoluo would continue to worry if it was not resolved. But now he is not suitable to go to the Xuanhuan section. He should go to the Ji family's training ground first and break through to the level before going there. Although God level cultivation is the lowest among the strong, it is a good thing for him to break through. Even if he is the lowest among the strong, no one dares to easily compete with someone with powerful mysterious patterns. People with God level cultivation are enemies. He knew very well that his real enemies were not the powerful men in the 9 Yuan continent, but the people from Yunshang Tian. Hearing this, Yan Xiangluo said happily, that's great, so I don't have to worry about master. Zhizhong was happy to see her and was in a good mood. Turning his eyes to Gizmo immediately understood what he meant. He thought he was an eyesore and disappeared immediately. Zhizhong hugged Yan Xiangluo and held her in his arms at the same time Gizmo disappeared. Yan Xiangluo was stunned and looked up at him, just in time to see Zhizhong's perfect chin. Zhizhong looked down at her and Yan Xiangluo blinked. Although she had always known that Zhizhong was a handsome man, such a the angle was actually perfect with no flaws at all. I really made a profit. What's wrong? Yan Xiangluo asked softly as she was not confused by the beauty yet. Luoluo, when will we get married? Zhizhong asked in a muffled voice. He wasn't worried before. After all, as long as he didn't let go or betray their feelings along the way, Luoluo would be his sooner or later. But after meeting his father-in-law, mother-in-law and brother-in-law, he felt unsure. These three people were Luoluo's blood relatives and had a great influence on her. He suddenly became worried. Yan Xiangluo was stunned, do you really want to marry me? Zhizhong twitched the corner of his mouth. How could Luoluo be so smart but so emotionally slow? Is this what she was asking? If Luoluo wants to marry me, that's fine, Zhizhong said aggrievedly. In any case, no matter who marries whom, they will get married first. Actually, he really doesn't care who goes with whom, as long as he can be with Luoluo, no matter what. Yan Xiangluo raised her eyebrows and said, you don't take an An's word seriously, do you? He is a child, why should you be serious with him? Zhizhong thought to himself, your brother is like a child. It is very difficult to handle, even harder than your parents. But he said, aren't I worried that Luoluo won't want to marry me? Yan Xiangluo's mouth twitched, are you still worried about this? After she carefully looked at Zhizhong, no woman with his looks could refuse to marry him. He was still worried that she was unwilling to marry him, so why would she resume the relationship as an unmarried couple with him? I won't worry if Luoluo says a word. Zhizhong looked at her seriously, but his arms around her tightened unconsciously. End of this chapter. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 707. Only then did Yan Xiangluo understand what was going on with Zhizhong. His feelings meant that he wanted a word of affirmation from himself. She thought seriously, now is not the time to get married. Not to mention that she feels that she is still too young. Although she has already reached hair age, after all, she still has memories of another life, and even the current situation does not allow them to get married now. This is because he did not refuse to marry him. Zhizhong's eyes suddenly lit up, when does Luoluo think the best time is? Why do you have to wait for me to break through the last hurdle of Panga flower blooming? Yan Xiangluo thought for a while. There are 3 levels in the exercise she practices. Each level is a life and death test. If you fail to break through, it will be fatal. She still doesn't know how long it will take to break through to the level, because she knows very well that once she reaches the saint level, her cultivation speed will slow down, and she doesn't know how slow it will be. As for what will happen when she breaks through to the level, she not sure yet. Hence, if you want to marry Jizhong, she must at least break through to the level and pass the last life and death hurdle of Panguhuikai. She really didn't know how long it would take. She did not break through the first level until she was 13 years old, the second level took 3 years, and she was really not sure how long it would take for the third level. She thought that if she said this, Jizhong would be disappointed. After all, Jizhong knew very well how difficult the exercises she practiced were, and she was thinking about how to comfort him. He heard Jizhong excitedly say, "It's a deal." Yu Xianglue was stunned. "Are you so happy?" Jizhong looked at her blankly, lowered his head and kissed her on the lips. "Luoluo, I'm so happy." The warm touch on her lips made Yan Xiangluo's mind feel like fireworks exploding. Jizhong also realized what he had done. Seeing that she was not angry, but even more dumbfounded, he kissed her again more aggressively, and this kiss got out of hand. Luoluo's lips are so soft and sweet. He had restrained himself, but he still couldn't help but kiss her again and again. Yan Xiangluo finally came to her senses. Although kissing and even deeper communication between lovers in another world were normal, she had lived there for 13 years and was still a child, so she really had no such experience. She immediately reached out to cover her mouth, and gave him a white look with her cheeks flushed. Jizhong's eyes brightened when he saw her shy look. Why did she feel that Luoluo was cuter? He held her tighter when she wanted to break away. He rubbed his cheek against her hair and said, "Luoluo, I'm so happy." Luoluo has no previous memories, but he has recovered some memories, although not all, and it is still a bit confusing. He doesn't know which life memories he has, but he knows that their outcome is not good. Therefore, he has been worried that Luoluo would dislike him and reject him after he regained his memory. The only way he can think of is to be good to her in this life, be very nice to her, and let her forgive him for the past because of his hard work in this life. Now, he finally got what he wanted to hear, and knew that Luoluo also cared about him and was willing to marry him. No one could understand his happiness at this time. As long as Luoluo has him in her heart, at least after recovering her memory, he still has a chance. Now everyone in the entire Zhuyuan continent knows that Luoluo is his fiancée and the head matron of the Ji family. Now they even know that Luoluo has him in her heart and is willing to marry him. They suddenly have confidence in their future. The heat on Yan Xiangluo's cheek slowly returned to normal as Jizhong stepped out of his arms, and she thought about it in an instant. It has been so difficult for them along the way, and it's not like their relationship is not good, so why should they embarrass each other? If they treat each other with an open heart, no matter what the future holds, at least she will not regret it if she treats each other sincerely. After thinking about it, Yan Xiangluo put her arms around his waist and said, "I'm very happy too." Jizhong's waist stiffened when he was hugged. After hearing her words again, Jizhong excitedly picked up the person in his arms and spun around happily. "Put me down. Changfeng and Xixian have obtained the weapons. I'll send them to choose their exercises," Yan Xiangluo said quickly when she saw that Changfeng and Mu Xixian had obtained the weapons. Jizhong then put the person down, but did not let him go. He held her in his arms and rubbed her. He knew that Luoluo could solve the problem with just his thoughts. Yan Xiangluo had no choice but to let him do whatever he wanted. With a thought, she sent Changfeng and Mu Xixian to the second floor to choose exercises. "Hey, why did Xixian choose such a strange weapon?" Yan Xiangluo was not surprised when she saw the long sword held by Changfeng. After all, Changfeng was accustomed to using long swords. But what is Mu Xixian holding? Doesn't he usually use a sword? Jizhong raised his phoenix eyes. "Xixian chose the hammer." "How did you know?" Yan Xiangleo looked up at Ji Hong in surprise. Ji Hong took the opportunity to kiss her on the lips again, and then said, Xixian has never found a suitable weapon. He often said that it would be great if he had a hammer that he could use. Yan Xiangleo was speechless. This person was addicted to kissing her, and he did not forget to kiss her even while talking. Isn't Xixian wielding a long sword? She immediately lowered her head to avoid being taken advantage of by Ji Hong again. Ji Hong smiled and looked at the person who buried his head in his arms. That is no choice. Yan Xiang understood. Xixian looked at such an out-of-character person, but he didn't expect the weapon to be so unusual. It has something to do with the technique he practices. I just don't know if he can find a better technique, Ji Hong said. Yan Xiangleo naturally understood that neither Changfeng nor Xixian had just awakened their spiritual roots and selected the exercises. Instead, they already had their original training methods and had achieved some success. It would be better to have such a superior method. So you don't have to start from scratch. We will definitely find it. He has got weapons like hammers, so he must have corresponding techniques, Yan Xiangleo said with certainty. Ji Hong agreed, Luoluo makes sense. He also kissed her on the top of her head. Yan Xiangleo was completely speechless. She pushed her away, rolled her eyes at him, and kissed him endlessly. She didn't even wash her hair, so it wasn't dirty. Ji Hong didn't bother her anymore. He knew what was right. If he went too far, he would become angry. Moreover, Changfeng and Xixian are coming out, so if someone is around, he will naturally maintain a sense of proportion. Yan Xiangleo walked to the table and sat down, leaning on the table with her chin clasped, thinking about something. Ji Hong knew what she was thinking about and sat down next to her. How sure are you about Anan and your mother-in-law? 10 points. Yan Xiangleo spit out 2 words. Ji Hong raised his phoenix eyes. Then what are Luoluo still thinking about? I'm thinking about how to return it, Yan Xiangleo said in a faint tone. How could she let her mother and brother go if they dared to plot their fate? Ji Hong frowned. According to my mother-in-law, the other party is also a heavenly master. He was reminding Yu Xiangleo that he was also a heavenly master and had probably come to the higher continent a long time ago, so he was not necessarily easy to deal with. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 708. Yan Xiangleo glanced at Ji Hong confidently. The higher his level of heavenly master, the better. Ji Hong understood. It seemed that Luoluo had figured out how to plot against the other party. Whenever Luoluo had such an expression and tone, the other party would be in bad luck, and very bad luck. Ji Hong didn't ask her what she wanted to do, but asked him what he could do to help. What do you need me to do? Yan Xiangleo shook her head. No one can help, I can only do it alone. If you want to regain Anan and your mother's destiny, you can only fight with the other party for the power of soul control. The other party is also a celestial master, and he is nearly 30 years older than her. He also has the power of soul control from the Long family, and his talent is even better. Not low, really no one can help, not even my own mother. I don't know how strong his celestial master has become over the years, but Yang Xiangleo hopes that his celestial master level will be higher. How long will it take? Ji Hong asked worriedly. Although she knows Luoluo's celestial master's strength, she has only become a celestial master not long ago. No matter how talented she is, she has not been in the celestial master profession for as long as her opponent. Yan Xiangleo didn't know what Ji Hong was thinking. He thought about the time it took to regain Fang 11ER's luck. Although this time it was to win the luck of 2 people together, it didn't take much more time. Compared with her opponent's experience, she is definitely inferior. She will never use her own weaknesses to compete with the opponent's strengths. In terms of the power of controlling souls, her greatest strength is her powerful skills, which are beyond the reach of ordinary heavenly masters. The soul control skills she knows now are only a drop in the bucket. Even so, she is still very sure of the fate of regaining Anan and her mother. A quarter of an hour. Yan Xianglou gave a conservative estimate of the time. In fact, she felt that if everything went well, it would not take even a quarter of an hour. Jiju nodded and asked, "Do I need to choose a place?" "When I treated her mother today, I specially chose an empty palace." Yan Xianglou shook her head. "No, just go to the palace where your parents live when you are young. She does not fight with the opponent in the open, but in a place invisible to the naked eye, so she has no requirements for the place." Ji Zhong glanced at the sky. The lunch they just had was a little late and dinner was a little early, but Luoluo probably meant that there would be no dinner. "Okay, I'll go there with Luoluo then." Ji Zhong didn't ask any more questions. He doesn't have the power to control souls, nor is he a heavenly master. He really can't help Luoluo much, but he can still do it by accompanying her. "By the way, can the demon eliminating mysterious pattern you mentioned be carved so that I can use it?" Yan Xianglou suddenly asked. Ji Zhong thought she wanted to remove the demonic energy from her master Deng Cheng's body earlier. "No, the demon removing mysterious pattern must be directly engraved on your master's body to be effective. If Luoluo is worried about the master, let's go to Xuanhuan sect first." "That's fine too." Yan Xianglou shook his head. "It's not until this month. You'd better go and practice first." "I originally wanted to go there if I could." Ji Zhong understood. Luoluo wants to go out, at this time, she must not go to Xuanhuan sect specially. After all, her master has not reached that level yet and cannot wait for a month. Luoluo probably had other things to go out for. Ji Zhong had already guessed that Luoluo had said she wanted to see her adopted brother before coming to Ji's house. The reason why he decided to practice first and then slay Deng Chang's was because he was about to advance again. He had already been promoted once before, to the 9th level of the Saint level, after the Continental Contest, but after receiving the inheritance from the Ji family, his cultivation was already at the peak of the 9th level of the Saint level. He was about to break through to the Divine level, and he couldn't wait any longer. It is not easy to break through to the level. Not only does it require an opportunity, but it also requires an environment with a lot of pure spiritual energy. This is why most of the God-level powerhouses in the mainland are in Yunzhang Palace. Just because Yunzhang Palace is the place with the strongest spiritual energy in the entire Zhuyuan continent, it is easier to succeed in breaking through to the level there. However, it is impossible for him to go to Yunzhang Palace. Going to Yunzhang Palace now would be a trap for him. However, the Ji family has a training place. Although the training method there is very abnormal, the spiritual energy is also very rich, no worse than Yunzhang Palace. And he urgently needs to break through to the level in order to face the coming crisis. Yun Shangtian's people should take action soon. Although the opponent can only come as a clone, his current strength is not something he can underestimate. Yan Xianglou nodded. "After setting up the city defense formation, you go and practice while I go out to meet my sworn brother." Ji Zhong did not stop her from meeting her adopted brother. "Be careful, the spiritual world and the demonic world are all the same, there are all kinds of people. I can't accompany you this time. Next time we have a chance, we can meet her adopted brother together." He felt very helpless. He was living in a lower continent and recognized a sworn brother who was actually the devil king of a higher continent. Who would believe this? No one has this luck. Although he has no prejudice against magic cultivators and spiritual cultivators, it does not mean that people in the spirit world have no prejudices. Now the entire continent knows that Luoluo is his fiancée and the head mistress of the Ji family. Ji Tianjun is bound by an oath and cannot do anything to Luoluo. Those around him can't do it. He doesn't understand the behavior style of people in the demon world, but judging from Ji Tianjun's actions, he does what he wants. Ji Tianjun's throne was not stable before. He was the youngest among the brothers, but the throne fell on him. He didn't believe that others could be convinced. Since ancient times, there has been no true love in the royal family, and the royal family in the demon world is probably even worse. No matter how worried he was, he knew he couldn't stop Lugo Lugo. No one could stop what she wanted to do, so he could only remind her tactfully. Yanxiang Lugo nodded, "Don't worry, I will be careful." She is not a 3-year-old child, and she is very clear about the relationship between herself and Ge Tianjun. They became siblings of the opposite by accident. Ge Tianjun is good to her, but that does not mean that everyone else has a good impression of her, such as the one who went to see her on behalf of her adopted brother. Although his subordinate Fu Qingfeng didn't say anything, she was a heavenly master and could sense hostility very clearly. "Is there any movement in the Luoluo nascent soul?" Ji Zhong asked. After they came to the high continent, the nascent soul was sealed and wrapped like a cocoon. Later it was found that the nascent soul would condense out in advance because of the low cultivation level in the lower continent. However, in the high continent, there is only a breakthrough. The nascent soul will only be condensed after reaching the god level. Therefore, for monks like them from lower continents, their nascent soul is sealed before they reach the god level. However, when they reach the saint level, now that I can sense the nascent soul, I want to know if there is any movement in Luo's nascent soul. Yanxiang Luo shook her head, "No, is there any movement in your nascent soul?" You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 709. Well, when I broke through to the saint level, I could sense the nascent soul, but it wasn't obvious. Now that my cultivation has broken through to the 9th level of the saint level, I can feel that the nascent soul is awake, but it's still wrapped. Ji Zhong expressed his feelings, hoping it would be helpful to Luo in the future. After all, Luo Passion was different from him, it was a matter of life and death. Yanxiang Luo sighed, "My cultivation speed will slow down after I reach the saint level. I wonder if it will be the same as normal people." Ji Zhong saw her depressed look and held her hand, "Didn't you come here for the first 2 levels? You can definitely pass the last level smoothly. I'm here, right? I said there is a way for you to get through this level, not lying to you." Yanxiang Luo looked up at him with a smile, "Well, I have you." This was not the first time Ji Zhong told her that he was there, but it was the first time that she firmly believed that he was there and that she did not have to be afraid of any unknown dangers and hardships. Ji Zhong was extremely happy to receive such a response from Yanxiang Luo. He was not completely sure about me before, but this time after the Ji family accepted the inheritance, he was 90% sure. As for that point, it depends on luck. Go and do your work. I'll practice for a while and prepare for the evening. Yanxiang Luo let go of Ji Zhong's hand, knowing that he was very busy and didn't want to waste his time. After all, if you go in early to practice, you can come out earlier. Ji Zhidian nodded and said, "Chang Feng is here. If anything happens, ask him to call me." Yanxiang Luo shook her head, "You take Chang Feng with you. I'll let Yun Tuan guard you. If anything happens, Yun Tuan will go find you." He originally had few manpower now. Chang Feng and Xian were his right-hand men. This was the palace, and nothing would happen to her. Ji Zhong thought for a moment and said, "That's fine." Yanxiang Luo called Yun Tuan back. She had kept it with her mother before, but later she came over for dinner and did not send Yun Tuan back to space. Yun Tuan was just wandering around the palace. As soon as Yan Xiang thought about it, the clouds returned to her side. "Master, there is a place in this palace that I want to enter," Yun Tuan told Yanxiang Latong. Yanxiang Luo's apricot eyes paused, "Where?" Yun Tuan's little paw pointed in one direction, behind the palace where the master treated your mother, there is a smaller palace. There is a power that attracts me. I don't know what it is, but I have a hunch. After I went in, it helped me restore the power of the mythical beast. Yan Xianglou thought for a while. The palace where her mother was treated was where the princes used to study. There was indeed a smaller palace behind it. Although it was small, the walls were not short. She had never been in it. It's just that she didn't sense any power anywhere. She let go of her spiritual consciousness to perceive the past, but she still didn't perceive anything. She knew how strong her mental power was. Even with such a strong mental power, she couldn't detect anything. So what was inside that attracted the clouds? Can't you get in? Yan Xianglou understood the cloud. If it could get in, it would have rushed in long ago. The cloud wilted. I can't get in. I've been studying it for a while. I don't know what force is blocking me. I can't get in no matter what. Are you sure it will help you become a divine beast? Yan Xianglou asked again. I'm sure. I have been practicing most of the time since I came to the higher continent. I have accumulated enough spiritual power for a long time, but there is no movement in the treatment, as if there is something behind me. But today is different. As soon as the master lets me out, I will. When I sensed a summoning power, I had only one idea at the time. I wanted to restore the power of the divine beast, Xuanhuan explained. Don't worry, I'll ask Zhekong when he comes back if he can let you in. I will definitely let you in. Yan Xianglou rubbed Xuanhuan's palm-sized body and comforted it. I thought that if Xuanhuan regained the power of the mythical beast, it would not be like this. It doesn't even know what kind of mythical beast it is. It is estimated that Xuanhuan will never be seen looking so cute again. Put it into the palm of your hand and rub it. Thank you, Master. Xuanhuan enjoyed the master's gentle touch and squinted his eyes to enjoy it. Thank you. If you restore the power of the divine beast earlier, you can also restore all the memories of the divine beast earlier. This is what Yan Xianglou really thinks. Originally, she could grow up slowly, but now all the things one after another prove that she is not qualified to lie down. Not only can she not slow down, but she must also run faster. The stronger the spiritual pets around you are, the better naturally. Zhizhong's white tiger also made her realize that the divine beast would not choose them for no reason. Not only she but Zhizhong also shouldered important responsibilities that they didn't know yet. Since the clouds all need strength to restore the power of the mythical beast, what about covering the sky? Yan Xianglou glanced at Zhetian, who was practicing in the space and did not disturb it. He glanced at Baihu and Wuji, who were crowded next to Zhetian. The corner of Yu Xiangluo's mouth twitched. She really didn't know why Zhizhong's spirit beasts were wanted. Leave it here for her. Yan Xianglou put Xuanhuan on her shoulders and said, I want to practice, so keep an eye on it. Xuanhuan immediately said, Master, feel free to practice. Yan Xianglou mobilized her soul power, sat cross-legged on the bed in the palace and began to practice. When she started practicing, Gizmo immediately felt a warm force, attracting him to come over. He glanced inside the palace and saw that the power was coming from inside. He knew without thinking that it was Yan Xiangluo's power. This was her soul power. Gizmo was very puzzled. Why was Yan Xiangluo's soul power so warm and so attractive to their souls? In his understanding, the soul power of the celestial master is cold, and the soul body is afraid of the power of the celestial master. Even if he has lived for more than 30,000 years and has a very strong soul power, he cannot guarantee that he is not afraid of the celestial master. Power, but I never thought I would like the power of the heavenly master. Gizmo walked to the door of the palace and did not go inside. This was the rule. Although he was considered Zhizhong's ancestor, his status had to be lowered in front of the descendants of the Ji family who had good fortune. Zhizhong respected him because it was his demeanor, but he couldn't lose his sense of proportion. He closed his eyes and felt the warmth of Yan Xiongluo's soul power. He found that Yan Xiongluo's soul power could actually enhance his soul power. Gizmo was shocked by this discovery. He could not let go of this opportunity and immediately began to concentrate on absorbing the soul power emanating from Yan Xiongluo to practice. Xuanhuan looked at Gizmo at the door and did not move. Although it had not recovered the power of the divine beast, it still had some of the abilities of the divine beast, such as being born with open eyes. Although it is also curious about why a soul can live for more than 30,000 years, the curiosity is only for a moment, and this is not something it should worry about. Now it just needs to protect its owner from being disturbed. After it regains the power of the divine beast, it can truly protect its master. This practice ended in the evening. When Ji Zhikong came back, it was almost midnight, and Yu Xiongluo also took the time to quit the practice. "Let's go," he opened his eyes and said to Ji Zhikong. The Fragrance Falls Ninefold. Author, Midday Sunday. Chapter 710. Ji Zhikong looked her over and asked, "Are you tired?" Cultivating soul power is different from cultivating spiritual power. It consumes mental power. Ji Zhikong did not expect that Yan Xiongluo would practice until now. Yan Xiongluo shook her head. "I'm not tired." She didn't feel tired at all. Gizmo twitched the corner of his mouth. She was a different kind of celestial master. She was so different that he doubted whether she was a celestial master. Apart from having the same abilities as a celestial master, everything else was different from him. "Okay, let's go." Ji Zhikong saw that she did not look tired at all, and wondered why she could cultivate her soul power so easily. Yan Xiongluo walked out, holding the clouds on her shoulders in her palms, and asked Ji Zhikong, "What is in the small palace behind the palace where the prince is studying?" Ji Zhikong glared and asked, "Why did Luoluo think of asking this?" "The cloud said it wanted to go in, but couldn't. There was power inside to summon it, but I didn't sense it," Yan Xiongluo said matter-of-factly. Ji Zhikong looked at the cloud in Luoluo's hand in surprise. He knew that the cloud was a mythical beast, but he really didn't know what kind of mythical beast it was. Could this be the chance for it to regain its status as a divine beast? That is the entrance to the Ji family's training ground. Those who met the requirements of the Ji family in the past entered and practiced from here, Ji Zhikong said. Yan Xiongluo was stunned. She didn't expect that it was the entrance to the Ji family's training place. She glanced at Xuanhuan and asked, "Can Xuanhuan go in?" "It can't get in by itself." "I'll take it with me when I get in," Ji Zhikong said. Yan Xiongluo nodded, "Okay." As soon as Xuanhuan heard that Ji Zhikong had brought it with him when he entered, his impression of the man immediately became much better. "However, when I come out, you have to come out with me, otherwise you won't be able to come out." Ji Zhikong looked at Xuanhuan and said. This sentence is specially said to it. Although this little dumpling looks very small, it seems to be very well behaved. In fact, it has an idea. If you leave Luoluo, you cannot see it and you can talk to it. The Ji family's experience is extraordinary. He didn't know what he would encounter inside, so he had to say ugly things first. Yan Xiongluo understood what Ji Zhikong meant, and pointed at Xuanhuan's forehead and said, "Did you hear that? You must listen to Zhikong after you go in. If he comes out, you must follow him out, otherwise you will never come out." She also added the word forever in front of "can't get out," just to let Xuanhuan know the importance. Xuanhuan's dark eyes moved. "Master, I will never leave the master when I enter." It is not stupid, and the place where it can regain the power of a mythical beast must not be an ordinary place of experience. Although it loves to play, it can also distinguish the importance of things. You have to be led by the host when you go in, and naturally you can't do without the host when you come out. Needless to say, it will also follow the male owner closely. The two of them walked towards the palace where Yan Xiongluo's parents lived while talking. Arrived outside the palace, the light inside looked warm. Yan Xiongluo stood still. Looking at the light in the night, she suddenly felt a sense of belonging. There were her blood relatives. For the first time, I feel like home. Sister Xuanhuan came out to take a look. Then she came out again and saw her sister and brother-in-law. She ran over happily. Xianxia came back to her senses and greeted her with a smile, "Aren't nervous?" Xuanhuan shook her head, "As long as my sister is here, I'm not nervous." Xianxia smiled. This boy had a sweet mouth and a tough mouth. He was obviously very nervous, but he pretended to be relaxed. "There is indeed no need to be nervous," Xianxia followed An's words. Her calm and confident words did make Anluo's nervous heart calm down. Although he just met his sister today, in his heart, her sister is the most powerful person, and no one can compare with him. In the past, he thought his father was the most powerful, but since his sister appeared, the most powerful person in his heart has changed. "My mother was cured by my sister, but my father couldn't. Naturally, my sister is more powerful. Mom is not nervous either." Xuanhuan did not forget to make a statement for his mother. Xianxia laughed out loud this time. "Yes, sister believes it." Long Moran inside looked at his husband helplessly, asking, "My son, I don't have 300 taels of silver here." Xianxia held her brother's hand and walked in. Ji Zhong followed beside her. When the master's brother ran over, Yun Tuan automatically returned to lie on Xianxia's shoulder. Long Moran and Yu Chenjai watched the three people walk in, especially looking at the hands held by their daughter and son, with smiles in their eyes. They said they wanted a son and a daughter back then, not so much that they would have both children, but that they would have blood relatives to accompany them when they were away, and that their daughter would have a younger brother to support her. Although the process has been a little more tortuous and difficult, the result seems to be good at the moment. "Mom, how strong is your soul control power?" Xianxia asked directly after walking in. She could clearly see the level of cultivation that her mother had advanced to. After all, within 6 years of coming to the higher continent, her mother had been ill and her cultivation level had not made much progress. Although she had been practicing, she had broken through a major level this time, but it was only the 5th level of Emperor level, is not as high as hers, so she can tell without asking her. But the strength of the Celestial Master cannot be seen in detail. Xianxia did not underestimate her mother's Celestial Master strength. After all, when she was born, her mother had the ability to separate her soul and body and send it away. This was not something that ordinary talented Celestial Masters could possess. Long Moran thought for a while and said, "You can predict things within 100 years. In one sentence, Xianxia knew the strength of her mother's heavenly master. The strength of a Celestial Master is measured by the number of years of prediction. The strength of a Celestial Master who can predict events within 100 years is already high in the 9 UN continent. She has not yet tried to predict the number of years she has. Before we begin, I want to seal off my mother's soul-controlling power," Yu Xianluo said. "Okay, Luoluo, feel free to do it." Long Moran nodded. She knew the reason why her daughter did this. The Celestial Master has an instinctive reaction to repel external forces, especially those of the same kind. This is the Celestial Master's self-protection. But if he instinctively resists when his daughter regains his destiny, it will hurt not only himself but also his daughter. Xianxia let go of her younger brother's hand, pointed to the chair and said, "Anan, bring 2 chairs over here. You and your mother can take 1 chair and sit closer to each other." Xuanhuan immediately ran over, moved a chair over, and placed it in front of another chair. "Mom, sit down first." Xianxia walked over. Long Moran sat down on one chair, and Xuanhuan sat down on another chair consciously. "Mom, close your eyes, calm down, empty your thoughts, put your body in the most relaxed and free state, and then keep it there." As Yu Xianluo spoke, the soul control in her hand, the power has been unleashed.